Yeah.
We'll we'll get into our predictions now. So
Yeah. Yep.
I I have done predictions of all right, this is the caveat for anyone listening. It's based off of I would say majority of drumline knowledge because that's what I'm good at. And it's under the assumption well, no, I won't even say that. But I'm factoring in what knowledge I have like about front ensembles like and what I've heard and like this group has a really good front ensemble and typically like so these predictions like don't go crazy and get all pissed about it. So
It's
some of it has to do with
primarily
like what I
drumline
think will
related.
happen and what I yeah. So
Yeah. It's primarily
uh
drumline based. We're assuming the fronts are relatively the same skill level
or
of the
scoring
batteries.
at the same clip, I guess
Yeah.
we'll say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also did an overall for core, which I can just run that down at the end, but
Yeah. So,
um
do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? And
you did
also, for the
you did
record,
all 20, right?
I didn't. I have 19 groups in mind.
You
Who did I
left
forget?
somebody off.
Guardians. Is that world class?
No, did you leave off
No.
Genesis or Jersey Surf or somebody?
Jersey Surf's who I forgot. That's the
Okay.
one I left off. So, for the record, also, Evan has not seen my list, and I have not seen his. So we'll see where we differ and where
No,
we agree.
I'm gonna type yours up as I go too, so I can we'll document them, we'll share them.
Yeah, it'll be on the Instagram. It'll be on the Instagram as a post. You'll be able to see in writing what we think might play out here. So, I mean, I'll go first if you don't mind.
Are we gonna, do you just want to go give your 20th and then I'll give my 20th in 19, 19, 18, 18, or what do you want to do?
Uh, See, I bracketed mine kind of like I have an order, but they're like bracketed
Oh,
within like to where here's where I think, but if they like flip flop within this small subsection of the groups, it wouldn't shock me. So let me just go through mine first, then you can go through yours.
well, no, go through your brackets, like don't do them
Okay.
all.
Oh yeah. Makes
That
sense.
way we
All
can
right.
kind of keep track.
So we'll start at 20, 19, and 18. I
All right.
forgot Jersey Surf on here, but I would have them in this last three bracket with Academy and Genesis. So I'd probably put Surf at 20, Genesis at 19, and Academy at 18 is like that last bracket that I've got. So 20
Okay.
Surf, 19 Genesis, 18 Academy.
Okay. So my 20, 19, 18 would be Surf 20, Genesis 19, and then I had Madison Scouts 18. And part of mine are just like not are just kind of how I think it'll shake out towards the end too. So
Yeah, and I will say I did reference Lightski's two shows in a row a little bit with some of these bottom half of the groups to be like, because I haven't really
okay.
seen a lot of Crest, I haven't seen a lot of Academy. I did pull up a recent video of all these bottom groups just to give you a frame of reference when I was making this. But yeah, I have Scouts a couple places higher. I've got
Okay.
Pacific Crest in 17 and Scouts in 16 with a caveat. I think Crest might be the better battery, but I think Scouts will end up beating them on the score sheets at the end, if that
Gotcha.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely think that Scouts Pacific Crest has a better battery. But so my 17 was Academy.
Okay.
Yours was Crest, and then I had Pacific Crest in 16th, where you had Scouts.
Okay, gotcha. So moving from that, I mean, we
I
can
think we
talk.
both
I mean,
had
I
this
think
pain.
Pacific Crest might have one of the best batteries they've ever had.
I mean, I don't know a historical reference of Pacific Crest batteries, but they're pretty good this year.
Based on my knowledge of like usually in there that I never hear much about them, and this season I've heard some buzz about them. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say kudos to those kids. I think this might be one of the better Pacific Crest lines that have ever existed. So good for them.
Before you give your 15, so once I got past 15, 14 and up, like 14 to 9, I feel like it's a free for all.
Dude,
So,
14 to 8 was so hard for me.
all
And
right,
get
what's
to,
your
so
next? Do you have another
15 was
tier?
15 is alone by itself on an island. I've got Music City in 15.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I have Music City in 15. I think they're having a very good summer. We reacted to them if you haven't seen that yet. It's a cool book. They're playing really well. The largest drum line in DCI. They have like a tom line.
Yeah, I think it definitely is the largest drum.
Yeah. Cymbal line and a tom line. So pretty cool. Okay, so this is where things get really dicey and
Yeah.
so I did 15 through 20 very quickly. It was super easy. 1 through 7 was super easy. And then I like moved groups around between 8 and 14 as I watched various videos from the past 7 days to be like, all right, well, I saw this group here and this video is actually pretty good. They've gotten a lot better. This 8 through 14 is going to be where I'm the most interested to see how this shakes out. I feel like they're all very close.
I edited my 9 through 14 like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, same here. The problem is they're all like a 70 to an 80 out of 100 if you were to give them like a grade. So it's like on any given night, somebody could pop off and play a little better than somebody else. Like it was tough. So
do 2. All right, so do 2.
Well, this next bracket has 3 groups in it. The next bracket has 3 groups in it.
All right,
and
so
before I say this, there's one more caveat with this little grouping. This is the part of it where I put them where I think they will finish the most, not necessarily who the best drumline is in that grouping.
Same.
14, I've got Blue Knights.
Okay.
13, I have Colts. 12, I have Crossmen. That's the next bracket above Music City.
Hold on, you said Blue Knights,
followed by Colts at 13, Crossmen at 12. So
you got Crossmen in the finals and then perk caption.
Yes. I will say, I'm going to go on through my next 4 because I need to talk about this for a second.
No.
Fine, go ahead. What's your 14, 13, 12?
All right, so 14, you had Blue Knights. I had Phantom Regiment.
Okay.
13th, you had Colts. I had the Blue Knights.
Okay.
So kind of flip-flop those. And then 12th, you had Crossmen, and I had the Colts.
Okay. So it's funny you have Phantom at 14 and Blue Knights at 13. One of my caveat was, in terms of clarity and cleanliness, I think the Colts and Crossmen are cleaner than both Phantom and Blue Knights drumlines. But remember I said I think this 100%. Is how the scores are just going to end up on finals night of where the percussion section's finished. But I agree with you.
We're saying cleaner, and obviously that we're watching drumline videos, we're watching people in person, but we do recognize that there is front ensemble.
Yes.
People always post like, you guys know there's pit, right? And like, yes, we totally get that.
We both march drum corps. We know that is a thing that exists. But yeah, so it's funny. I just put where I think they're going to actually finish, but I agree with you that I think Crossmen and Colts are probably cleaner than Phantom. But I think Phantom is going to finish
ahead
higher.
of them.
Huh?
So, I still think that Crossmen and Colts will finish higher than Phantom, but we'll see.
I hope they do, but I'm more of a pessimist with this a little bit, so that's the kind of approach I took.
Colts roasted Phantom tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
If I had seen that, maybe I would have changed my tune. So I might be.
I made this list before I saw it.
Okay.
I made this list like 8 hours ago, and I just looked at tonight's scores. So
one of the iterations of this grouping of groups, I had Crossmen and Colts above Phantom, and then I kept looking at how they'd all been finishing, and I was like, well, I just think Phantom is going to beat Crossmen and Colts in the end. I just think they're going to be ahead of them in the drum caption, but we'll see.
I did not see this before I did my predictions, but Colts tonight beat BK by 0.5 and Regiment by 0.7.
Nice. This will be one that I will be very happy to get wrong. Not because I hate Phantom, but because I think Crossmen and Colts are playing very well this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, Here we go. Keep going.
So then I have 11th place Mandarins, 10th place Phantom. This is the next bracket has 4. So 11 is Mandarins, 10 is Phantom, 9 is Blue Stars, 8 is Troopers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm typing these in just a second. All right, so in 11th, you had Mandarins. I have Crossmen.
Okay.
10th, you had Phantom Regiment. I had Mandarins, so we just kind of won off those.
Mm-hmm.
And then we flip-flopped these. 9, you had Blue Stars. I had Troopers. 8, you had Troopers. I had Blue Stars. So we just.
What's funny is at my first iteration, Blue Stars were 8, Troopers were 9. And then I went back and watched some videos, and I was like, I don't know, Troopers sound pretty good. I think
Troopers content is going to carry them over Troopers.
Blue Stars content, you mean?
Blue Stars content is going to carry them over Troopers.
And see, I went with clarity.
Just because it's this is assuming that Blue Stars do get some ticks out. So
yeah, I went with clarity as it stands right now. I think Troopers will be cleaner on the field than Blue Stars are. I hope I'm wrong because I
think they're cleaner right now.
Troopers.
Yeah, I do think they're cleaner right now.
I agree. So that's why. And again, I had Blue Stars in 8th place in one of my early iterations of this. It's so funny how you and I have, like, for the 5 iterations of this, probably had every group in every one of these placements. So honestly, this is going to be the most fun competitive area of the scores to watch because it's a dogfight. It's going to be like who plays the best that night is going to beat the other group, and like it's
going to be cutthroat getting into finals.
Yes, very much so.
So some of these, like I don't know if Troopers will make finals, so we might have to look.
I know that could just screw us right there.
Semifinals score to see where they rank.
We probably will, honestly, to see if we got it right through like 15th place.
Right.
So yeah, you and I were in agreement. The Troopers and Blue Stars were high on in the overall field of groups. 8, 9. We just had them switched. Yeah. So moving on, this is another one on an island by itself. I think cadets are solidly in 7th.
I have that too.
Yep. I think they are. Their book is not super difficult, but they're playing it very consistently, and they're very clean from what I have seen, and they're just cleaner and more consistent. And the sound they produce, the sound quality of the drumline itself, comes off as more mature than the other 7 groups from 8 through 14 that we just did. So I think they're by themselves. They're in 7th. I think they're going to finish 7th. Not much more else to say. I'm a fan of them this season. So
I would say there's a gap between them and in 8, 9 for sure.
Yeah, and I think there's a gap between them and 6th. So now we get to the part that was pretty. I don't know how big of a gap. You're right.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm as a cadets, as a youthful hopeful of drum corps, watching cadets all the time. I would love to see them jump up to 6th. Obviously my ranking, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it. I'd love to be wrong on that one. So 6th place, these top 6 was very easy. I typed them in within 2 seconds, and I was like, yep, here we go. So
I flip-flop mine around.
So these are each 3 different brackets of 2 groups that I think are in a fight with each other, essentially, for 5th and 6th, 3rd and 4th, and 1st and 2nd. So 6th, I've got Cavaliers finishing 6th, Crown finishing 5th. But I think there's a very, very real possibility Cavaliers jump Crown by finals.
So about 3 hours ago, had Crown 6th and Cavaliers 5th.
Yep.
And then I flip-flopped them, and I put Cavaliers 6th, Crown 5th. But Crown feels like they're losing momentum right now, and Cavaliers feel like they're gaining momentum right now.
100% agree.
So I could very easily see Cavaliers jumping them in percussion and finishing top 5.
Yeah, 100% could see it happening. We'll see. Those 2 are definitely in kind of a battle of fisticuffs, if you will. All right, moving on from that, this is another one just those 2.
It feels like we're going to have these the same right now.
Yeah, Blue Devils is 4th, Blue Coats is 3rd is what I have. And I think those could flip-flop easily. They're both very good. Whoever ticks less is probably going to be 3rd. They both have a really good sound quality. They're both playing cool stuff, difficult stuff, playing really well. So we'll see what happens there. And then, did you have the same 3rd, 4th?
I did. BD 4, Blue Coats 3rd.
Yep. And then, so, the pessimist in me, I have them on my sheet here.
Drum roll.
Boston 1st, Vanguard 2nd. Although, I left it this way to be hopeful and optimistic. But I think there is more than a 50% chance at this point that Vanguard wins a 5th drum title in a row. Like, more than a coin flip.
Right.
As much as I love Boston's drumline, as a pessimist that just watches the sheets and looks at the finishes, I think Vanguard is probably going to win again. I hope I'm wrong. So
I have the same thing. I have Vanguard 2nd, and I have Boston 1st. I hate to say this, but I feel like people are just creating intrigue and drama for something new to happen. Kind of similar to what happened in 2016, or what happened in 2008, where Phantom Regiment just worked their way up and won. Although Boston's been pretty consistently in the top 2. Mm-hmm. Or me and Mike are in a group chat with George Collins and Robert Martinez, the guys who run the Drum Corps Coffee Shop, and we just like to talk about stuff and throw things out there. And George had brought up the year that a different group won percussion every single night prelims, quarters, finals. I know 2015, Bluecoats won one night, or no, not Bluecoats. Cadets won a night, Vanguard won a night, and then obviously BD won a night, and BD ended up, because of the average, winning overall. And I feel like this year we could have something similar to where Boston wins a night, Vanguard wins a night, maybe Bluecoats win a night, or BD wins a night, but like it'll be interesting.
Look,
the better thing about 2015 was that at least they had double panels. So there were 6 judges that ultimately crowned the Fred Sanford winner, 2 percussion judges each night. I wish we still had that. Unfortunately, we don't. I don't know why people say cost, like, oh, can't afford judges, can't afford judges. Like, well, if you can afford to double up the GE panel every night, then you can afford to double up the percussion panel for all 3 nights in the regionals. That's 7 judges total on the year. Prelims, quarters, finals, Allentown twice, Atlanta, and San Antonio. That's 7 judges. If you're telling me the DCI can't afford that, then they might as well fold.
Yep. I can get behind that statement. But so the Vanguard thing, I feel like a lot of people are suffering, their ears are suffering from just not wanting the same group to win for the 5th year in a row. So I think Boston's incredible. I think Vanguard is also incredible, despite kind of just being a Rennick line, as we've said before, and that's not a bad thing. It might be a little redundant at this point, but it's not a bad thing. It doesn't take away from the quality of playing happening out of the Vanguard battery and the Vanguard front ensemble. Like you have to. There's some biases going on, and people get tired of the same groups winning all the time, but you've got to acknowledge it's still amazing, and the quality is so high. Like if they ended up winning, I couldn't sit in my chair and be like, they didn't deserve that. Like they're still extremely good. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. I'm a very competitive person. I'm rooting for Boston, but I still stand by it's more than a coin flip chance right now as from what I'm seeing from scoring when they're at the same show. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they're going to be at the same show again until finals. Is that right?
Correct. I mean, they'll get judged by the same panel at Allentown,
but they will not be back to back again, or like same night until finals. So prelims. we're not really going to know. But
here's my thing. So I've heard some people say like Boston's like the heavyweight hitter and Vanguard's like the musical artistry, and I'm like, okay, I do completely get the musicality that Vanguard plays with as a percussion ensemble, but other groups play musical too. Boston plays musical. They play the shit out of some like decrescendo rolls and triplet rolls out to the gut edge, and like they have space and they have nuance and they have this touch and finger dexterity. And I would say that the variety of content that Boston's drumline plays is exponentially beyond what Vanguard's playing. And one person said, it was like, well, if you handed Vanguard front book to any other front book, to any other front ensemble, they wouldn't be able to play it. It's like, okay, you want to make that argument? I would stand here and bet my house that if you gave Boston's book to any other drumline, they would not be able to play it.
It would take them a long time to develop the dexterity and the chops.
They would not be able to play it clean.
Quality.
Vanguard could not play Boston's book. Period.
Boston can play Vanguard's book, though.
If you could, and I don't think you could say the other. Yeah, I don't think you could say the other statement. I don't think you could say that Boston couldn't play Vanguard's book from a drumline standpoint.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend on like what you value. It's going to depend on obviously how the kids play. They're going to have to throw it down. They're going to have to be consistent all 3 nights. And it's going to depend on who's on the field judging.
So, yeah, there is a level of subjectivity to all this at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
So it's
going to be interesting.
I'm excited.
It'll be interesting.
Like I said, to back up for a second, I think Crossman and Colts are cleaner than Phantom and Blue Knights. I think Crossman and Colts will finish higher than Blue Knights. I think Phantom will end up beating them on the scoring sheets. But if you end up being right and Phantom's 13th, I will not be upset that I got that one wrong. Yeah. and then Boston
Yeah.
Vanguard. I am just.
I got Phantom in 14th.
Oh, that's right. You have Phantom 14th and Blue Knights 13th.
Yeah.
Man, and you just telling me Colts just beat Phantom and Blue Knight Phantom by like 0.7?
Yeah.
Who was on the field? Who was the judge?
Jeff Brooks.
All right. There you go.
Jeff is not afraid to call it as he sees it.
Nope.
Most of those guys
Most
aren't
of them
afraid to call it as they
They'll-
say it. I mean,
there's been a lot of diversity in placements night to night between different judges and people just giving
I
their
like
honest
that.
opinions, and I love to see it. So it's really cool. But
do you want to hear my overall predictions real quick?
yeah. Throw that out there real quick. It's in about 54
All right.
minutes, much longer than we thought. So we'll throw this out there and then wrap this up.
20th place, Jersey Surf, Genesis, 19th, Pacific Crest. Then I got Academy, Music City in 16th, Scouts in 15th, Troopers, BK just outside of finals for me. And then top 12, Crossman, Colts, Mandarins, 9th place, Phantom, Blue Stars, Cadets. Then we got the Cavaliers, Vanguard, Carolina Crown. I think Blue Coats are going to pass Crown again. Blue Coats third, BD, and then I'm throwing out a Boston World Championship there. Which if
Boston's going to have to
Boston-
win drums, I think, for that to happen.
if Boston wins they're going to have to win drums. Their guard's going to have to beat BD's guard in order to get the spread, and they're going to have to take like some GE captions somewhere. So
Yep.
we'll see.
It's going to be a fun 2 weeks, folks. Be on the lookout for. We got Phantom and BK reactions coming since we have a video of each of them to do. We obviously will have our post-finals podcast that comes out. We're going to try to be doing, like we did with Rarick and Mac last season at the end, kind of reacting to their groups with them. We're going to try and do that again with those two, plus a few others. Hopefully Colin will come hang out with us. See if Tom Monks wants to hang out with us for an evening. And yeah, we got a bunch of cool content planned. Thanks for hanging out. Check out LoneStarPercussion.com. Use that discount code. Get yourself some new sticks or a pad or something. Save some money. Facebook, Instagram. Check out the podcast on YouTube and all the other cool content. And you got anything else, Evan?
I did buy 2 pair of those Macintosh sticks, and they both feel fantastic.
I played with one of those pairs this weekend. So I stayed at his house Friday before driving to Atlanta, and I can reinforce that statement and back it up and say they felt great. So there you go.
So other than that, I'm good.
Yep. All right. We'll see everybody in the next one.
Peace.